Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's boot room. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to Blakey's Boot Room here on Wales Online. Nathan and Steve in the studio as always to discuss all things Bluebirds, the start of a new era. Indeed, the Russell Slade reign has begun. Big press conference last week, Tuesday of last week.
Big unveiling, yeah.
You were there, the big unveiling.
Worst kept secret in British football.
Indeed. What do we make of the new man? That's the question we're asking. What sort of impression has he made? We haven't seen any football yet, but in terms of the way he's conducted himself, what he's had to say, what did you make of it all?
Well, obviously we had that original press conference, and then I was a part of a select group invited up for a coffee with Russell up at the training ground. It was like thunder and lightning and lashing rain. It was, well, so far he's laid down his gauntlet. I think he's not pulling any punches. It's already expressed a bit of a lack of fitness amongst them, which I think you've picked up on, a lot of people have picked up on. So there's been double training sessions there. Don't know how that's going down with the players, but the fans seem to have responded by saying good on Russell, you know, for working them. And when I interviewed him, he was talking about basically my way or the highway. He was saying, you know, because I said, are players buying into your philosophy, into your message? He said, well, basically, if they don't, forget it. You know, they won't be part of my thing. They're going to have to buy, and they're going to have to come in with a positive mental attitude into training. So, at the moment, he's laying down the law a bit. You know, he's not pulling any punches. He's being strong. I think in a way that's what I mean. It's only been words so far. That the real proof obviously will come on the pitch Saturday against Forest, but he seems to be giving the club a bit, at least at the moment, a sense of direction, a purpose. You know, he sort the weak players from the strong players who want to get a nucleus of players together, hard working and all that. So far, positive noises. I think fans who maybe were a little, underwhelmed by his appointment, maybe starting to be won round a little. But of course, results will be the real way he wins them around. And so yes, so far quite interesting and quite promising. I think. It
took him about 5 minutes, Blakey, to identify the problems. He was asked, what do you see the problems with Cardiff? Lack of fitness, lack of confidence, lack of cohesion, too many players. That's what the type of things we've been talking about for some weeks. And what have you made?
We've identified those things, haven't we, John? You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I said in my article yesterday, if Simon put it in, you know, Tux there has talked about the lack of fitness. I've said about the lack of fitness, but I think I mean lack of fitness as in match fitness. Do you know what I mean? The players are obviously fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're just not sharp. They're just not match sharp, and I think largely that was due to players playing 1, maybe 2 games, 3 games maximum, and then sitting out. I don't think they're ever given a chance, an opportunity under Solskjaer to get right up the, you know, ramming speed then, if you like, and 6-7 games, that's when you're flying like. So what he needs to be mindful of is, and this again I always talk about attention to detail, is not just coming in and saying, I've had that before, managers come in and say, not fit enough. I had it with a manager at Blackburn, I won't mention any names, but on a Saturday we had by far the best squad in the Championship, and when the fittest of the players who were great at long distance or speed work are saying, as we're walking out, my legs are gone. We haven't even kicked off. You can overwork players as well. So my only thing would be for the manager to err on caution, and it's easy just to say they're not fit. Yeah, they're obviously fit, but they're not sharp. They're not match sharpened. So what you don't want to do is overtrain them. Then come a Saturday, the players can't get up to that 100%. They're like hitting 70, 80 because they're lethargic or there's lactic acid buildup in their muscles. That's the scientific. Then the science people look at those sorts of things and hopefully resolve them sort of issues. But double sessions now, you probably won't see the benefit of them till probably late November, early December. It's not like you do a double session for a week and then Saturday you're flying. You'll probably be very tired come the Saturday because you've increased your training load. So
I hope they're not that tired.
This is what I'm saying. It's very attention to detail. It's not something you just say. I had it at another club. Where a manager came in from Scotland and just said, bang, we're going to increase the level of training. And it's not always about just run. You might just have to sharpen up on this or sharpen up on that, or you just might need a run of 3, 4, 5 games, So just got to be careful that one, because the first thing players say, what we say is, yeah, that's the easy option. It's always about we're not fit enough. That's the first thing managers will say when he comes into a club. They're not fit enough. You've heard it probably 1,000,001 times before, but very rarely is it their level of fitness. It's their match sharpness. So they are two different things.
He's been without all the internationals, so it's probably been quite a strange time.
I like the fact that he's saying though, you can either get on the bus and travel with me, or you can. Yeah. We can get off and you can wait for the next one. It's as simple as that.
He was quite good on. I mean, the players is one relationship, and obviously the owner, Vincent Tan, is another key relationship for him. He was quite good on that.
He was, yeah.
Some suggestions when you have a man appointed who's not that well known, that maybe it's he's done because he won't disagree with Tam, but that's certainly not the impression he gave, was it?
Yeah, I mean that was particularly at the main press conference. The shadow of Vincent Tan, particularly when it comes to the national journalists that come down here, is he's such a character. There was a lot of that press conference about that, and I, as you say, Dolly, I thought Russell dealt with it pretty well. He said, there might be suggestions, but if these suggestions are of no use to me, they won't figure. So I think that's what everyone is hoping, is that he gets to be his own man. He gets to have the final say on everything without too much interference. Yeah,
yes, you can. Listen, the moment chairman or owners start trying to get involved in selection process of the team, doesn't matter if they're wrong or they're right. Soon as that happens, soon as that line is crossed, you're going to have a problem between manager and owner, because the manager will never appreciate being told who he should and shouldn't be selecting, or suggesting, or I've just made a suggestion. Well, don't make suggestions. You've employed the man to do the job, so let him do the job the way he sees fit. Simple as that. If you don't like the way he's doing it, do it yourself or get someone else. It's quite straightforward. I think once that starts to drip down into, and players always hear about it. You never keep a secret in a dressing room. Players will always hear about it, and then they start getting their opinions involved, and it just becomes slowly but surely just creeps into a bit of a mess.
I tell you what, he's got no shortage of, Russell Slade, as you imagine. His confidence, self-confidence. I mean, it was put to him about, he's only been at Grimsby and Scarborough and Leighton on, how will, he's making the step up now. And he was very strong on that. He said, look, he believes he's the right man in the right time, in the right place for Cardiff City now. He believes, it wasn't a swipe at 4 managers, but he used the phrase something like, I think this club has needed an experienced man. I think he's overseen some 600 odd games, and he believes the experience that he's going to bring to the role. And he said a thing that's pretty true was about the step up was, I've been waiting for the chance. I mean, there's a lot of people like that in the managers. I always remember, I'd spoken a lot to Justin Edinburgh, the Newport manager, who's also, really good manager, always operated in those lower divisions, and he's often bemoaned the same thing, saying, particularly young, British managers at that level, you so rarely get the chance.
Try being black, you get no chance.
Right, okay. Add that to the mix. But I mean,
my eye bleeds, but at the same time,
but I mean, right across the board,
that's a big issue.
Right across the board.
You know,
right,
they do. Listen, as the opportunities in comparison, if you're a black coach or a black manager, is like the opportunities. You know, you can go Simon Grayson, Lee Clark, you know, what's his name, Neil Lennon, you know, I could just, Malky McCoy, I can just, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I can just keep reeling them. Opportunity.
Okay. But I mean, I know where you're coming from.
I know what he's saying.
I know where you're coming from. But even leaving the race thing aside, even for a white manager operating at League Two, you very rarely
bleed, like, you know.
Well, you know, but I'm saying you very rarely get. How often? It's always a foreign coach or a name, or you know, very rarely to get the chance to up. And yeah, for example, you know, and tests like Solskjaer. I think Russell Slade sees, you know, obviously as a big chance, and he feels it's something he's earned.
I think he has. That's what I think. He earned his stripes.
But it's
I
rare.
Think he's more than earned his
it's rare.
stripes.
It's rare.
I think he's. I actually, you know, like I said, having someone who isn't so flashing up there, I just think it's probably perfect timing. I really do. Whether he gets the results or not, listen, fingers crossed. I really hope he does.
Yes.
I really think, you know, I like what he said about, you know, either get on board or don't bother. Do you know what I mean? And I think that just tells the players, look, there's so many of them. Once you get a collective 18 who are your squad-based players and you're playing them and they start to win and things start to go, do you know those players outside of that circle, no matter what they say, kind of gets pushed aside.
That was probably the most interesting thing I think that came out of it all. Was he's got 30 odd players there at the minute.
It's 31, I think.
He wants a squad of, is it about 20, 21? He would be his
yeah.
ideal number, and he's said he's going to identify in the next couple of weeks his first team squad.
Yeah.
And then the others will actually be split up into a different group.
Yeah, that's just the way life is.
Well, I mean, it's almost like, remember the old Reading, like almost like a death row, I think, in a way, you know, of players. He's issued the ultimatum, really, saying, linking into, are the players going to pick up on your philosophy? He's basically said, well, if you don't, you're not going to be in the group you want to be in when it comes to training and moving forward. You're going to find yourself out on the outside looking in.
So what happens to that group of 10?
That's
difficult, isn't it? Isn't that difficult to have 10 players?
It is
within an environment.
I would. I mean, but Blake, you probably know. I mean, not to say you were never in that group. You were the. Were you?
I was a black
you were on
yeah.
Were you?
Yeah,
well, what's that like then? What's that like as a player?
It happened to me under. But it was just a short period. Graham Souness came in, and you know he had. Managers usually come in and what they do, they select the senior players who they want to make a point of saying, right, he's not on my squad. And it was me and 3 other fellas, I won't mention their names, and we got into the bomb squad, you know. So
bomb squad.
Pre-season they went away, and I was playing in the bomb squad under Terry Dadicott was the coach then, and he was fantastic, so enthusiastic, and just it kept me up there, and I played really well. And as soon as they came back from pre-season, we had one more game, I think it was against Wrexham, and he drafted me back into the squad, and I ended up playing, I think it was 15 games, scoring about 12 goals, and then I had to have an operation on my Achilles. So you can get back in. It's all about what you think as a player, though. If you start to think, I'm just going to cause trouble, I'm gonna be a bit of a cancer, and you know, yeah. As soon as they lose, yeah, I'd be happy that they lose, and not, you know.
That's what I'd be like.
Yeah, that's my but it's almost like it's like you kill yourself having that sort of attitude. Do you know what I mean? Because what you got to think is, you know, by having that attitude, my game's only gonna go downhill, you know, and then someone isn't gonna come along and want to buy me anyway. You know what I mean? You want to be seen as someone who will go out and give it no matter what. So it's a difficult one. But once you're in that squad, it's not over. You can still get back in. But the problem is, you know, there's just going to be players. There's going to be 5 or 6 players, regardless of how they play, he's not going to want. Because I've got 2 already like that, or 3 already like that. There is that at Cardiff. There's a lot of, like, especially in our midfield, there's a lot of midfielders who have a lot of similarities. So you're not going to want them all. And then it's, it's not personal. It's just, sorry, but you're not needed.
If he were
Plus, you've got to think the 21s then. Now, you're stifling so much. You've got to have a process where 21s are coming through into the first team and the opportunities there. So you can't really have a squad of 28, 27, 26 first team. You've got to have like an 18 and then 4 or 5 you have from the 21s who you back up to the squad. So
if you were Russell Slade, then who would be in your bomb squad? Are we talking?
What am I supposed to? If I say someone who's like,
Richard Keys, and he just lines them up. He loves it. I thought he was going to say in his first team squad, but no,
I'm not
you
signing
got to
my
go
own.
one lower.
all I do know is I mean, I'm not giving him many confidence, but I know there's been some players who've impressed Russell. I've got him Russell already, like best mates here. I'm impressed Russell already. I know Makeda has shown up well apparently in the first few days under him training, and looks to have a bit of a good future there. But as for who's outside it, I think people kind of know, don't they?
Makeda would have been one I would have thought would have been, and that's exactly my point.
He's called
because
him
he hasn't really, he haven't. I keep saying I don't know whether Makeda's a hold-up kind of centre forward or a ball in behind kind of centre forward, or he can do a bit of both, but I don't suppose he's really got an opportunity to have a run of games at the moment.
He's excited by him. I think he said he's when I was chatting with him, sort of off the record, he said he's a really good finisher and he's hungry. Apparently, as you would imagine, the guy just come out of Man United and all that. Apparently, he's so expect to see him. But I think as far as people going in the bomb squad, as Blakey would call it, I think people kind of know those kind of people, don't they? Sort of, maybe the names that you're thinking in your head are probably
Your Ikrams, your Bergstavers.
Yeah, maybe Callas, maybe, or
Juan
something.
Callas.
I quite like Bergstaller.
Well, he hasn't had an opportunity.
No, he played
Well,
well.
he could feel, exactly. He's hardly had a chance.
really
It's like
well
arriving,
pre-season.
doing nothing, and being told, sorry, you're not good enough. Like, well, I haven't
and
done
then
anything.
they brought in, what's his name? Pilkington.
Yeah, it's unwieldy. It's such a difficult job. I mean, I'm not saying anything outrageous. It's such a difficult job that Russell Slade has got there because, can I face it, it's a mess. It's a mess. You've got some areas overloaded, and then you look at like right back or something, and suddenly you're like, well, Brayford's good. Who else? You've got other areas. You've got McNaughton out on loan. You're underserved in some areas. You've got, like Blakey was saying about the midfield, you've got 3 guys who can all do the same job there. The whole thing is, I mean, you surely have to blame Solskjaer, don't you? I mean, the place has been left in an absolute mess. It's almost like the opposite. Remember when Mackay took over and he said, I turned up and there was 8 players there or whatever it was and 5 kids. It's almost been ruined in the other way. He's turned up, there's like 45 people there and none of them are any good. You know what I mean?
That's why I think Cardiff should have some sort of advisor. I really do. Because I don't think, if he was advising Cardiff, what you would have said is to Solskjaer, before you're going to increase the squad, you've got to get rid of players. And I know it's easier said than done, but to just keep hyping players on top, and end up with 30-odd pros, going into a championship season. Imagine the wages. You're paying probably 10 people that you don't need to be paying on the wage bill. Do you know what I mean? And you then got a new manager comes in now who, the squad's fantastic, but you can always identify something you need. I think we need more pace, raw pace wingers. That's what I think we need. We're lacking at the moment. There's those players who can get down the outside of people and beat them for just pace. I don't think we've got that at all. We've got tricky wingers. We've got wingers who like to come inside, but we haven't got a winger that goes outside and just, obliterates people down the flanks. So there's one area that you could identify. Now, that might be something Russell Slade says, I don't want to play that way. I want to play inside. So, okay, no problem. But if he says, I want to play with wingers, out and out, raw-paced wingers, that's something he's going to have to go and find. So again, Mr. Tan has to go back into his pocket again and shell out more dough. It's like, should have just said, no, right, you can have, if you want that, and that, they have to be gone first. They have to come off the wage bill, because all I'm doing here is forking out. And it's unsustainable. It's as simple as that, because if you don't get back to the Premier League in the next 3 years, you know, you've got to say, the owner's then going to start seriously considering, right, I'm not getting any love. You know what I mean? I've got probably nearer 200 million tied up in the club by then. You know, you're in a really precarious position as a club, because you're not going to sell it for 200 million quid or 150 million quid.
No, indeed. All right, let's have a couple of comments then before we move on. On Russell Slade, we've actually done a bit of a vote, a straw poll if you like. 78% of people saying they've been impressed by Slade so far, so that's positive news for the new man.
Let's face it, he hasn't lost a game yet.
Hasn't lost a game, exactly.
Come on, let's look on the bright side.
Tom says, I was impressed with how the new manager spoke in his first press conference. I now hope he can impress us on the pitch, quite right too. Mike Jenkins saying pleasantly impressed so far, but let's wait till we play to make any judgment. We need the type of team spirit and organisation that Wales displayed on Friday, he says. We'll come on to Wales a little bit later. Looking forward to the Steve Tucker U-turn on that one.
You both, mate. You both.
Crikey.
Terrible. What have we got? Wayne.
Not that good. Pretty 0-0.
Wayne again mentioning Wales, saying Cardiff need to follow that blueprint. Not very often we've said that. Carl saying Slade comes across as a very level-headed bloke. Really saying what you've said there. Tucks looks prepared to make big decisions, which is what's going to be needed. Only time will tell if he can do it properly. Let's talk about the Nottingham Blue here, asking about Kagisho Dikajoy, or I don't know how you're pronouncing it these days. Dikashwi, is that how we're pronouncing it? Okay, we'll go with that. So do we know whether he's fit, when he's going to be back? So let's tie that into the whole midfield conundrum, which is Slade's big decisions to be made there. So a bit of a debate this week on Peter Whittingham. Should he be an automatic selection, as he seems to be? Should he be dropped? Dikajoy, does he come in? What's the midfield mix there?
I mean, it's very hard to say now what, you know, we got a new Broom coming in. The one thing we're certain of is he's not short on options in midfield. That's for certain. What he's going? I mean, he's obviously talked about not so much, maybe not 4-4-2, but that. I mean, he's actually said that in his first press. That's the kind of
he's a two up front man.
Yeah, he's a two up front kind of guy. Which
in the Championship, with our money, our squad, yeah. Of course we should be. You know. Which
would probably mean he's looking for width, isn't he?
You can go up to up front with using a diamond formation as well.
Exactly. It might be somebody more withdrawn rather than a traditional kind of 4-4-2. But that would.
But you got the players that can do that.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing. You almost got an open blueprint to do what you like at Cardiff.
Yeah. So Dikeshwi, I mean, there seems to be he has actually been injured. So. I mean, there's a lot of talk about his fitness levels, like everybody's fitness levels, but he has been carrying an injury. I mean, he was brought in to be the kind of, you know, like, kind of Gary Medell, the kind of like, you know, hopefully he's not really featured. There's a ton of players there. Of course, one question mark will, over a regular first team before, is Matt Starley, your old mate, in that, you know, he is a Solskjaer man through and through. I mean, he's obviously a professional footballer, being paid as well, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I'm speaking to some people in Norway, some reporters in Norway. They seem to think that wherever Solskjaer goes, Darley is sure to follow. So I don't know if he's going to end up on the Dole queue or whatever he's going next.
I never get that with players.
But I mean, I think
always shows a lack of confidence to me, and lack of self-confidence in your mobility. That you only play for a manager who likes you. You know what I mean? Straight away, that gets other teammates back up, because they know. You know, regardless of how you play, you're going to get a spot or you're going to be on the bench. And even if, you know, the world and his wife can see that John Dole is a better winger than Darley, everyone knows that Darley plays before John anyway. I just don't understand that. So at some point, you've got to be a man and break away from that and just say, you know, I'd love to see now Darley, because like I've said before, he's not an explosive player, but people go, oh, he keeps the ball well. Well, that's the name of the game, keeping the ball well. But what he can do, he can split a little pass. He can give your strikers something, you know, to get onto midfielders running. He can play that little pass. So for me, what he should be thinking now is, right, time to man up. You know, new manager. Can I impress? The more managers you impress, the better career you're going to have. you know, if he's got one manager that likes him and takes him dot to dot, say he had 5 managers who had the same feeling. Say Russell Slade goes from, becomes one of Cardiff City's best ever managers and ends up at Everton and thinks, right, yeah, Darley is just the type of player I need. You know, that's how you got to think as a player. You don't think to yourself, well, I'm only going to stick to what I know. Doesn't mean you attract.
I don't think there's any suggestion he won't. I mean, he might thrive under Russell Slade, but I mean, from what we've been told, he's very close to Solskjaer. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to.
I know what you mean, though. I've seen it before.
Yeah, I mean, the people I spoke to in Norway said, you know, which has been proven. Man United reserves, you know, Mulder, you know, where Solskjaer goes, Darley is sure to follow. So we don't really know that. I mean, the interesting thing, and it's something we've talked about on here, which I thought Slade has identified earlier, is these partnerships. He's mentioned that a few times. He mentioned that when I was chatting to him. He believes it's vital. You know, the centre half, the centre mid, and these two.
That's a partnership, right?
Yeah. And
2 centre backs. That's a partnership. Yeah. Right side centre back, left side centre back. That's a partnership.
Yeah.
Same on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Left back, left side centre back, left back, left winger.
Yeah. All
that's
these.
a partnership.
Yeah. I mean,
centre mid.
Yeah.
As a partner, then 2 centre mid with the outside. You know, there are partnerships. That was never allowed to develop under Solskjaer.
All we can say is that, I mean, from early indications, Manga is a big future guy, an impressed guy, impressing everybody, even the new regime.
Yeah.
Ben Turner's fit, I think, within 2 weeks now after his ankle surgery. Expect him to
play a part.
Yes.
I would say he's kind of Russell Slade's kind of player.
Yes,
I would say.
exactly. I think he's the type of kind of like. Russell Slade as well talked about. I talked to him about Marshall's captaincy. And he said, "Yeah, he's going to keep the armband. He's one of my captains." He said, "I want leaders out there."
Because he said they're a quiet group, didn't they?
Did
he?
He did. He said he was amazed when he first started working with them how quiet they were, which I don't know, he put down to confidence or whatever. But so expect to see Ben Turner becoming involved as well in there. So.
We haven't really solved the central midfield partnership conundrum because there's Whittingham, who there's varying comments here. Some people saying should be dropped, some people saying he'll be good as long as he's got somebody like Digger-Choi next to him. But Whittingham, Adeyemi, Gunnarsson.
I don't think Wits gives you enough.
None of them have really done it, have they?
I don't think Wits
is
gives
not
you enough
consistent
going
enough now.
Now in the you know, when you come from the Premiership down to the Championship, I know I've done it 3 or 4 times. You actually have to step back up on your levels of fitness and that. You have to go the other way. You actually think it'll be easier because you think, oh, we're Premier League and it'll be easier.
Yeah.
But actually, it's back to the gun ho, right? Charging the light brigade. Everyone's at you. People don't give you time on the ball. So you've actually got to be fitter and quicker. And for me, like I've had a few of the fans say to me, the Wits dilemma. And what's clearly evident, everyone always says, like I was speaking to a couple of fans about 3 weeks ago, and 2 of them were saying drop him, and 1 was saying no, keep him. So I said, why would you want to keep him? And he said, oh, for set pieces. I said, but say you're under pressure, like we were at say something like Fulham, and you concede like 70% possession. You're not going to have many corners and free kicks. So you might have 2 corners and 2 free kicks. I said, are you justifying someone's position on that? He stopped and he had to have a serious think then. Do you know what I mean? You can't, on the Championship, on the Prem, on any league. So for me, I've always said, Wits, I think his left foot is a wand, I really do. I think he's a real quality player. But right now, I think we need more power, you know, a bit more aggression. And there must be other players who can put a good free kick on top of a keeper. Do you know what I mean? And have a good shot from, you know, 20 odd yards. There must be other players who can do that. So Wits, you know, I'm one of them. I would take him out. I would put more legs, more power, because in the Championship, I don't think you can get away with saying, you know, I pass a few good balls and I take a few good set pieces. It's just, it's not going to happen.
I think there's a concern there about the lack of forward momentum in the side. You know, somebody within the camp was telling me about we're the best team in the division passing sideways and backwards. There's not enough penetration there. And I think that what Russell Slade wants to do is, you know, as I said, the fitness, raise the tempo, get them.
They can't play at a high tempo. That's the whole idea
foot.
of the fitness. Yeah, they can't sustain. That's exactly my point. Come down from Premiership to Championship, your fitness level has to go up pre-season. Yeah, than it was the season prior, but they cannot. That's been evident all season. They cannot sustain 70. You're not going to press for 90 minutes, but they can sustain a 60, 70-minute high-tempo game at the moment. Our lads, they can't. They've almost. You've seen under Young and Gabadon, they just sat back. You know, we got players. Yeah. We got. The only thing, like I say, we're lacking is raw pace down the flanks. Anywhere else, we're covered. Now, there should be no one that we're sat back against. And I mean, nobody in this league we should be thinking. Because player for player, I guarantee you probably go across every manager in the top 10 at the moment. If you said, what squad would you like? He would most of them would say, my own, followed by Cardiff City straight away. But they would prefer, most of them, Cardiff's. You've got 30 pros, you know, of quality players. Some Premier League quality, some high Championship quality, but none of them are like you can say, oh well, he's a second division player playing in the Championship. You know, Brayford quality, Fabio quality, Turner quality, Morrison quality, Manga quality, you know, Adiemi quality, you know, Pilkington quality. You can go on and on and on. Do you know what I mean? Kenwyn Jones quality, you know, Makeda quality. What's his name? Little guy up front? Lafondra.
I think we get the message.
Do you understand?
So hang on, is there a lot of quality?
There is a lot of quality.
Okay,
Marshall,
I got that.
quality. Do you know what I mean? Premiership goalkeeper, no doubt. So for me, you know, it annoys me when we say, oh, you know, we go to places like Fulham, we got a decent point. Yeah, it was a decent point, but they've not gone on a run since that. They've been slapped by a few teams.
That's the thing about Cardiff.
Then you look at it and think, that's not such a good point at all.
You're saying about all that quality and all the depth. They've not dominated anyone, have they? I mean, from what I've seen.
They're not confident.
No,
they never got into a run of games where they could feel like I've said on the programme last year, you can beat teams before you even get there. Do you know what I mean? They you know, every team in the Championship is going to be up for the fight, right? But they know after 20 minutes, you're 2-0 down against Cardiff with the quality they got. Chance that this game is over.
I thought, I mean, I also spoke to Russell about the Forest game now coming up, and he said an interesting thing. He said the result, you know, obviously they want the points. He said, what I really want is Forest to come away from the game knowing they've come up against one of, if not the best side in the division. That's what he wants from them now. And from what's gone in the past, he's going to have to affect a quick turnaround because they haven't looked anything like that yet. You know, he's going to have, you know, let's be honest, looking at the Forest game, he's going to have to perform miracles if that's going to be the case. But, you know, fingers crossed. But there is, I mean, there's been a lack of direction and there's a lack of, it's not bottle, because I wouldn't want to accuse the players of that. It's not a lack of bottle. It's probably not a lack of passion. It's confidence. It's going into games and thinking, oh well, you know, who am I playing with? Am I in?
Reflects leadership, my friend.
Well, few comments that John may be saying that the players need to be cut a bit of slack here. They've had about 6 managers, if you include all the various caretakers, in about 10 months. They must be totally confused and unsettled, which is a valid.
What do we always say, John? What goes on at the top eventually leaks down to your dressing room. It's as simple as that, and we are in disarray.
They are in disarray. It's true. It's a massive job. I mean, you look at Russell Slade and you think, whew, what? You know, in one way, you feel like he's got the tools. Yes, he's got this great squad, but getting all that together, soothing this person, alienating that guy, but not choosing the side, getting it together, finding those partnerships. Crikey. It's a massive job.
To do, baby.
I know. I really hope it's going to be fascinating. Is the first thing. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm just so interested to see what he'll do. The other thing is just fingers crossed that he can pull it around, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Reel off a few. Then Reg, you're saying if it's raw pace you want, Kadeem Harris is your
said
boy.
it.
You've always been.
He's been banging that drum for a long time.
Indeed. John saying Wits would be fine if he had a combative ball-winning midfielder alongside him. Or what about the idea of pushing him up just behind Kenwyne Jones? An interesting suggestion there. Steve saying Whittingham needs dropping. For me, he's offered little this season. Even his set-piece delivery has been poor, which is what he's in the team for.
That goal against, who was it? The header, the Morrison header.
Carl says, as far as Wits is concerned, get him back to playing in the position he should be and the one he enjoys the most. Then we.
Which is the position which you maybe can answer this for myself and all the confused fans. Does he prefer a deep sitting midfield role, an advanced midfield role, or wide left?
I think an advanced central midfield role.
Slightly advanced.
Slightly advanced central
You think?
midfield. I think that's his favourite place. I think he thinks he's can dictate things from there going forward.
Okay, it'd be interesting to put that out. What the fans think is his best position, because they've seen him for the last 6 years, 5 years. He's been here 6 years.
Been here a long time.
He's a legend.
Absolutely. Maybe it's Steve actually probably hitting the nail on the head. You're saying we're missing Jordan much more than anyone else, and maybe after all the people who left in the summer, when you look at it now, you probably say
I said that at the time.
Midfielder.
I did. Nobody will. But honestly, I said the one person they're going to regret, who's going, is Jordan Much, because he, in the Championship now. All the best things they did in the Premier League, and let's be honest, there weren't a lot of them. He was often involved. He had some forward momentum. When people, he brought.
But don't you think we've got a big enough squad? And if you look at our 21s, you should be able to find a player to do that. That's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I think the club is set up, and is set up well. Do you know what I mean? But I think there's just such a lack of attention to detail with so many things. I think to myself, surely you've got 30 pros and probably 15 to 20 21s. You mean tell me you haven't got a midfielder that can break from midfield and get into the box?
Well, I gotta laugh. I mean, it's like I said earlier. Brayford gets injured.
What have you got?
That's what I mean. You've got this.
Well, you're going to have to go Fabio to the one side.
Well, okay, or you could bring Connolly in. He can play. No, but do you know what I mean? We've got all these great, amazing players, but you haven't really got a right back where you'd say, "All right, Brayford's out, so step." You got. To me, the whole thing, and I don't want to say this about departed friends, but I mean, you've got to blame Solskjaer because he's.
Why didn't you blame him when he was here?
I must known as a coward in the. Hey, he was answering my calls. Let's not ruin it. Let's not ruin it. You know what it's like. You know what it's like. No, but I mean, they've constructed this enormous squad that's over. I said it just now. Overstocked here, understocked here.
Do you know what I don't understand? There was the well documented stuff about Malky and spend or overspend or whatever. But then Ollie's come in and was just almost given open season, you know what I mean? Because straight away in January,
the fees were nowhere in the same.
I'm not talking about the fee.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm talking about the even if you say the fees were 2 million, 1 million, and the wages are 20 or 30 grand, if you've got 10 then on that, that quickly becomes $1 million. Quickly, you're paying quite comfortably £1 million a year when you don't need to. That's a lot of money, mate. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is, I can't believe that he was allowed to sign so many players so quickly, especially
16,
summertime.
Was it 16? Yeah?
So quickly. How long was he here? 8 months?
Let's face it.
I mean, come on, mate. Come on. Is it me or is it just like?
No, let's be honest.
Come on, you're complaining about. Mr. Tan's complaining about money's spent. Should have been spent
every month,
right?
Oh, crikey!
So you buy a player. I remember hearing him on the interview on that of a sports channel saying, you buy a player for a couple of £1 million and you don't play him. He doesn't understand that. Well, you need someone to explain to you. Sometimes players, that player might be pining for his old club. He might not never wanted to leave. They might have sold him because financially they're in trouble, and he had to go. And he hasn't really fitted in here yet. Or it might be him and his wife have split up, or it might be his kid isn't very well. Or do you know what I mean? There's reasons why that player might not be in the squad yet, or might not have hit the ground running. Do you know what I mean? I think lots of people were looking at Brayford pre-season and going, yeah, I'm still not sure. Now they're going, yeah, he is one of the best right backs in the Championship. Yeah, you know, he is. You know, you got to. So Mr. Tanner's then thinking, why wasn't he playing when I first bought him? Do you understand what I mean? And he's within his rights, but sometimes he'd be wrong to think that it's just about, well, I bought him, so he should be playing. You know what I mean? So to me, they're desperate for a football advisor in that club.
The whole thing's gone backwards. You know, they had a championship winning
we've got a great
squad.
stadium. The stadium, you know, I was down there the other night, you know, Friday night. The stadium is magnificent now. You know, the energy and the passion that it creates within the crowd. It is a really, really good place. And I get the feeling it's going to become Wales's home ground, because I think the Millennium's too big. I think Swansea's too small. I think Cardiff is probably 30-35 capacity. It's probably about right, you know. So he's done so many
and it's
good
already
things.
got the red seats.
He's
in
done
it
so many
for the
good
Wales
things
games.
at the same time, and he's thinking to himself, why he ain't loved. Mate, give him 3 or 4 bits of good advice, and you know the Cardiff fans would think he was an absolute god.
Okay, onwards and upwards. A couple of comments on Whittingham then. Where's his best position? Carl suggesting as an advanced midfielder, he said, he can see a pass and he can score. Simples, he says. Wayne suggesting a diamond formation with Wits behind the 2 strikers is the way to go. And Andrew Jones with a question, not Whittingham related, but kind of midfield related. What the hell happened to Kimbo? Where is he?
I'd actually forgotten about him.
Yeah, see what I mean?
And we haven't even mentioned him.
And you loved
I
him.
saw him the other day
He
when
was
I
one
was
of the
up
best
there.
players in the promotion season.
I always said I wanted more from Kimbo, though.
You did, but the
I thought
fall from where he was is
where he
is
is.
pretty stark, isn't it? I mean, he's one of those who you would assume.
But he
at
was
this
one of the
stage is
ones
on
being
list of-
singled out the other week by Scott Young, wasn't he? Even the Bournemouth
Well,
game,
hauled off
given
after
a tongue
33
yeah,
minutes,
given a
wasn't it?
tongue lashing.
I think that's. I think as well. I don't think Kimbo speaks English, right? Because everybody goes, he gets a chance later.
Yes, he was called Ian, I believe.
Right.
Wasn't that
I
funny
think I
story?
know. I've met him. I've met him.
Straight away, I think, you know, you're missing a trick there. I think what we tried to do was become like this global international club that you can come in and you can actually bring your advisor and you can bring someone who speaks the lingo for you. And mate, no, here you go, come in, you train, you get an hour or 2 hours English lessons every day until you can understand instruction and understand, you know, the whole club's not going to start speaking Mandarin, so you need to speak English, because if you leave here and go to another British club, you're going to need it anyway, and it's not going to detract from anything you do. I think now you're in a situation where you're seeing you're not seeing the benefits of someone who hasn't embraced the culture fully by picking up the lingo and becoming like where
Yeah.
you're involved.
I think there's
there's so much that goes on talk, and it's so quick, and 9 times out of 10 on the pitch it's said with plenty of, you know, swear words behind it. You have to understand what people are saying. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's broken a bit, you have to get it. And I think he was kind of like in a bubble. And I'm saying now, once that bubble's burst, once that, you know, that protection is removed, you're going to be on your own. And then what? And I think that's why you've seen such a fall. Because when he was good, I still think he had another level to go to. I still think he could be a very, very important player, you know, behind that front man or in that diamond shape. I think he could be a very good player for us, but you can't afford not to be able to understand what the manager's saying when he's ranting at you on the pitch. You need to do this, tuck in or drop back or close him down or sit on this player. Or you can't wait till half time to get that instruction and go out with that one instruction. That instruction might change within 30 seconds of the second half. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't think he's done himself any favours.
I think there's been 1 or 2, not just Kim, but a few others who have had a bit of a culture shock and have not quite adapted to the English game from where they were been playing before.
What about the Spanish striker?
Well, yeah, I mean, Guerra, he's another one I think who maybe has had a bit of culture shock. Doesn't speak English for a start, not really. And his first time he's played, he's
And not
32
just
years
that.
old, and this is the first time he's played out of
Do
Spain.
you know in the dressing room, you want to be part and parcel of that banter, that day-to-day, because it is a great place to be, the dressing room. After training, the players usually sit down for an hour and it's all flying around, all sorts. And it's where you come together collectively, and everyone's digging each other, a bit of banter about this or that. And if you just don't understand it, how can you ever be considered part of it?
Well,
Do you know what I
and
mean?
I
You're
suppose
always going to be on the
this is
outside
where
looking
that
in.
team spirit and all that is forged,
Correct.
isn't it? Is that on the pitch then
Correct.
those all for one and one for all attitude comes through that. So, and as we said earlier, that is something that Cardiff have been severely lacking.
I remember
season.
Harry Bassett saying to me why he always signed a lot of Scandinavian players, and it was because the English was bang on straight away, and it does make a massive difference.
Better than half the British players.
They
They
worked
can
out
speak
well
5
in Cardiff,
languages.
haven't they? Scandinavians. Anyway,
Got to be the right Scandinavian. I'd avoid Norway. No.
right then, let's talk Wales. Let's talk a team with great spirit, with great commitment,
great
great
manager.
organisation, with a fantastic manager.
Oh, yeah. Going well. Hang on, a 0-0 draw.
Oh,
I'm off it.
Carl just saying it was the first Wales game I've been to for over 5 years. Certainly won't be the last. Great crowd, over 30,000. They're great atmosphere, as Blakey was saying, and a great performance. Just a totally different Wales movement, wasn't it? Spirit, bit of everything about it. Good for Chris Coleman as well. I think they were about unbeaten in 7 now, something like that.
Yeah, what I liked about it was it took me back to after the Gould era. Mark Hughes came in, and I remember the training, the food, everything, the hotel, where we used to train, everything just went from being like a 3 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. You just felt this was an international team, yeah. And then the amount of training we used to do. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes we would have played a game, and we've got 2 games, and we'd still be doing a double session in between the games. And it was only because they just wanted to drill our positional play. Because I played on the right at this point. Hart's played down the middle on his own. I think Giggsy played on the left. And we played in a system which was, players were playing out of position, myself included, but we just got organised defensively, and then how we would break, and then when we break and it would break down, how quickly we'd get into certain positions. And to me, that's what I seen on Friday night. And there was a lot of players missing. So you've got to say, like, the understanding is now, not just of the first 12 or 16, you've probably got 22, 24 players now who understand the system, what Chris Coleman's trying to play and trying to get across.
Cardiff need.
So, to me, I was well encouraged by Friday night. What if I was being stupidly ultra critical? Then, and I don't think, well, it's not a criticism. I think the next step will be, and I think you might see it tonight, there'll be a bit more offensive going forward, because I thought they knew they had to concede possession to a degree and will hit you on the counter. Church done well stretching the defence, which enables Bale to play across that slot behind the midfield. Yeah, I thought Joe Ledley done really well sitting, and then he'd had a 4 across. They kind of like played a 4, a 1, a 4, kind of 1. Do you know what I mean? And it was really flexible, and then they'd go to a back 3 sometimes. They'd have 3, 1, 4, 1, 1. It was good to see. I could see there was a lot of work that had been done on the training ground, and it was really encouraging, mate. And I think that's what most fans left knowing. 3 or 4 years ago, Bosnia probably would have turned us over 3-4-1, 3 or 4-0, and you can see, even without your best team, the gap has closed, isn't it? We are definitely there or thereabouts, and players are thinking they want to qualify. So 3 points tonight, and for me, they look very, very encouraging. Very, very good.
I
Very
mean,
impressed.
only a few weeks after that Andorra performance, Steve, which sparked calls for Coleman to be removed.
From
certain
some
people.
incredibly handsome young people.
Feels suitably.
No, well, yeah. I mean, one thing he's got, Coleman. They're playing for him. That's quite evident. You know, they're enthusiastic. They want to turn up when they can, and it was an impressive result, particularly when you consider it's against the top seeds in the group, and with who they had missing. You know, but you know what have we always said about Wales? Okay, if they had their best team out, they'll give anyone a game. They gave a really good side who were at the World Cup in the summer a very good game, and they didn't have
Their
really
best
anywhere
side.
near their best side out. You know,
It has been a
particularly
long time since that happened.
exactly. You know, I mean, and I think
And
it's
you've got to think the players who did, some of the players who did play, who might have been first choice, like your Ben Davis is, or
they're not.
John Williams. They're not playing.
No.
They, I seen
Wayne
little
Hennessy
Williams.
is Hennessy playing? He's
no,
not playing.
I seen little Williams after about 15 minutes. He was bent over. He was trying to catch a second wind. He was knackered. And Ben Davis, the last 10 minutes,
He hasn't been
once or
near
twice. He tried to
things.
dribble out and got caught, but he recovered really well.
So Steve pointed out about Chris Gunter you're saying, and it was the Gunters and the Ledleys, people who maybe haven't performed for Wales over the last couple of years particularly well.
It's almost like they believe they should be there now. They believe they're good enough.
Well, you know, they're not
True
going to get a
belief,
better
what I was
chance. So
going
they
about.
top two through, you know, third place play. This is really it, and I think that sense is, and we've always known with Wales anyway, as you mentioned the Mark Hughes era, when they have success, the fans are there.
out, yeah.
There was a time under that Euro 2004, they were the best supported team in Europe.
Yeah,
Wales,
they were.
when they were filling the Millennium Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, that's absolutely bonkers. You know, when you think about it, and so the fans are there. That the excitement in the nation is there.
It's a myth that rugby is bigger in Wales.
Nonsense. Oh, yeah, I
Saying
would
it
say
here, it's
to
a
knock,
myth.
to knock the egg chasing,
70%
to
of the
knock,
kids in this country want to play football.
to knock the egg
Really
chasing off its top
Oh,
spot.
Blakey.
All it'll need is for Wales to get to a World Cup or a Euros. Then you'll see the sparkly cowboy hat brigade put in their place. Oh, and I'm alienating everybody.
Well, thanks.
I'm gonna have people emailing
I thought,
me.
I mean,
telling
Bale
me
was
off.
obviously tightly marked, still had a decent game, and what an effort at the end. But just
Yeah.
the whistle had barely blown, the final whistle, and he was there getting every one of those players saying, "Come on, we go to the fans."
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Well, did
he's
you see him from
such an
corners
asset.
and that?
He's
Mr.
going to
Wales,
be the
isn't he? That's
greatest.
what
He's
I
going to
call
be
him.
the greatest Welsh player ever. He's in a
Well,
way
I
almost
see
because
he's been-
he's done more than Giggs did in
he's
a
been
lifetime.
treated
in a
boy
game.
alone. What's the matter with
Is that
you?
your-
Kicking out Giggs,
How
man.
many mates are you going to protect? This Cookie, Giggs, you know the old.
Are you calling for Cookie's head this week?
Yeah, get him out. As Pulis didn't get the Cardiff job, he said, "No,
He's been
I mean,
tweeting out
fair play.
ticket plugs for tonight's game all week as well. You know, with
I know,
pictures
I
of
mean,
himself behind the
Bale
scenes.
is-
He's clearly been tasked
He's
with
not only
leading. isn't he?
one of the top, probably the top three players in the world, which is absolutely incredible in itself. His attitude is absolutely fantastic. He's never forgotten where he's
press.
come from.
For the press.
Well, not even for the press, even.
All
I mean,
right,
let's
all
be
right.
honest.
I'm only
if
joking,
let's
fella.
be honest. Let's be
Jumping
honest.
down as well.
I love Bale, but I mean, if you heard him interviewed, it's hardly the most exciting thing. It's like we want to win. You know, he's talking about playing with a straight bat. He's got it all, but it's his attitude. And for Wales now, he's going to be. If they can get him qualified now, if he
brilliant
can get him
that night when
qualified,
he's
he's
gone
going to be
taking the corners and he's
going to be
getting
the
them.
greatest Welsh player ever.
You know, they were already up, and he was
Yeah,
getting up even more fired up. And that effort at the end, you know, it's just, you know, it's
great
worth
save,
paying money
wasn't
for, isn't it? It's worth
But
paying money for.
you know, and as for my thing with Cookie, your mate, fair play to the guy. Good result. Mate, and moving forward, I'm totally behind them. You know, I personally thought they could have got someone better than that, and Tony Pulis would have got 3 points against Bosnia. But that's another thing. But no, forgetting all that. Anybody in this nation who's not buying them now, for whatever reasons, because that's something that's afflicted Welsh football for years, I think anyway, is that little bit of small-mindedness down the years. Oh, he didn't pick me for so-and-so, so I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I think, too long Welsh footballers had that mentality. To have everyone unified, like they say on their hashtag thing, stronger together, to have everyone unified is great. And who wants to be a dissenting voice in that? I don't, and I am totally behind them, and the manager.
I think that's started. I think that started.
I want a tenner now.
Fair play. I think that started under Speeds, to be honest.
They
with
are,
you.
all the
Yeah.
players will
Credit
tell
where
you.
I think that started under Gary, under his tenureship, and it's nice that he's been able to pick up and run with it, you know, as simple as that.
3 points against
And,
Cyprus now.
You know,
Wow.
I think they drew with Belgium in Belgium last time. People saying to me, oh, what you want is Belgium to run away with it. No, you can automatically qualify from this group. Bosnia have had a nightmare. Yeah,
Losing
They
at home
needed-
to Cyprus,
Right, they
now that
needed-
is bad.
If you watch the game on Friday, the manager first half, he just kept doing this all the time. He couldn't believe what was going on.
He's under a
Hence
lot
why
of
they
pressure,
come
yeah.
out first 15 minutes like a rabbit out of their traps. But Wales just soaked it up, you know, and give as good as they got for me. Okay, Hennessy made a couple of quality saves, but I
It's an
didn't ever
interesting
think we were
group,
in
isn't it?
trouble.
Israel are in there. Israel beat Cyprus.
They
didn't
won
you? You can
again,
see them
yeah,
right
Well, it's
there.
a weird.
yeah.
It looks like
Yeah.
it's going to be a really tight group.
I
It's
think
gonna
we
be
can get
weird,
top
and
two.
It's going to be.
I really do.
I do.
I really think we
I
can
do.
get top two.
I think
this.
it's just that little bit of luck turning.
It's not-
It's not so much luck. Almost what they did in Andorra, when it looked like all hope was up, and suddenly bang. If they can get something like that in Tel Aviv, for example, or something like that, where a draw suddenly
that's a place you can go and say,
draw
no
suddenly
matter what, we just needed the win. Yeah, I think what it was with Chris saying that against Andorra was the level of the opposition. But I think Cyprus beating Bosnia, people will go, okay, if we went to Cyprus and won, you know, we went to Bosnia and won, or we went to Belgium and won. For me, you're going to need to beat one of them. As long as you beat them in your home games, Bosnia, okay, you've got a point. You beat Israel and Cyprus at home, and you go and beat one of them away, I think you are looking at second position, I do.
That would be fantastic.
really
'Cause,
do.
let's be honest, who on earth wants a playoff?
I think Belgium are going to
Take
be...
it in the worst case scenario.
I think
but
Belgium are
Wales
going to be very, very difficult to overcome. But I still think we can get
So
close to
they had
them.
44 shots on goal against Andorra. Did you see that? Andorra are only.
Mate,
completed
I'd
46
be having
passes, I think it
44
was.
shots on goal against Andorra, mate. Give me all Fairwater boys.
There we go. Right,
days.
we're nearly there. Let's finish with predictions then for country and club.
Club and country. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Wales tonight against Cyprus.
I'm going to go 3-1 Wales tonight.
Bale on the
against
score sheet.
Cyprus.
And I'm going to go for Cardiff against Forest, which is such an exciting, thrilling. You know, I don't think I could sleep before. You know, it's so exciting, isn't it? New manager. I don't know. I'm
Top of
quite
the table
excited.
coming
Top
in.
of the second or whatever they have. They've had a great start. It's really exciting.
How long would Russell have had to deal with the players by the time?
Well, for example,
Well,
listen to
two
this.
weeks officially.
Well,
but
listen to this. Manga is back Friday from international duty, and they'll come back in drips and drabs. But I think Manga's he's been away with Gabon or whatever it is, and he's thinking, so he's going to have them back. You know, some of his top players back drips and drabs this week. So it's tough. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. A good, and that'd be a good draw. Just steady the ship.
against
First thing.
Forest. I'm going to go for an uplift. I think we will see a big uplift on this. I'm going to go for Cardiff 2-1. So 3-1, 2-1. Wales 3-1, Cardiff 2-1.
Brilliant. I certainly hope you're right, Blakey. On both counts.
positive stuff.
It is.
New
People say
beginnings,
this is
new
negative,
beginnings.
don't they? No, it's not. It's really positive.
Just pull it apart, mate, and dissect it.
You've got to dissect.
Attention to detail.
Oh, I haven't mentioned Blakey's film award.
Oh, you
Sir
mug.
Lawrence of Blakey.
We haven't. We will next week have some footage of Blakey's acting skills. But
Is that what you're calling it? Acting? Don't be too kind on him. I call it hanging round in front of a camera, son.
I'll read you a story on this. It says former Wales international Nathan Blake won a major award tonight for his acting
It's
skills.
Oscar. Was it an Oscar?
this is on
Was
Wales
it a BAFTA
Online.
or an Oscar,
As we
Dobie?
speak to this would Tucker like there's the ex Cardiff City legend. So you were once.
The ex-Cardiff City.
You're not anymore.
I didn't write it, but it tickled me when I read that. The ex-guy. What's it like to be a former legend? Just a normal guy now. Terrible.
Honoured at the Film Fest Cymru Awards for his role in a short film called The Homing Bird, where he played a school football coach. I quite like doing things outside my comfort zone, unless it's skydiving or swimming with sharks, jokes the Wales Online.
Oh,
football
he's
expert.
always got a good line, isn't he?
What else did he have to say? I only have a couple of lines, but I had to change my Welsh accent to my father's Jamaican accent. But that was fine, he says. So, tell us, first let's have the Jamaican accent.
Let's
first.
have the Jamaican accent.
Just
Go
to
on.
finish off.
Give us one of your lines. Ladies and gentlemen,
See you next week.
It's the Nathan Blake, the top thespian of Cardiff.
Nathan Blake.
Listen, tune in. It's my shout. It's online. Go and have a look. You can see it yourself. There you go.
Just a little bit of Jamaican
Spoiling
accent.
you, spoiling you.
Hello.
Didn't sound Jamaican at all. That's very posh, in fact. That's your, I like, and if you get a chance to go to Wales Online, have a look at the pictures of him in his overcoat, and he looks very. All you need is like a cigarette holder and a monocle in. You look the part.
What we meant to say was congratulations.
Oh,
Obviously.
of
yeah,
course.
thank you. After you've just beat me up.
So what was it? It was an Oscar or a BAFTA? Was it a fuss that's being
Listen,
made?
mate,
What
all
was
I'm
it?
saying is
Film Fest
to
coming.
win
Okay.
an award as a sportsman, it was humbling. I tell you, it was fantastic.
Did you have to do a speech?
very-
Did you
Supporting
do a,
actor, was it something like that?
did you do a speech? I'd like to thank my.
I just thanked Roger Burnell, who was the top man at My Shout,
Okay.
and my young son, who's my inspiration when it comes to acting. 'cause
Hang
he
on,
is
I
the
wasn't
man.
expecting you to be all nice and yeah, but you're making me. Hey,
My
hey,
boy's a legend, you know what I mean? He's only 12. Lion King 2 years.
hey,
he's
you
top
trying to
man.
make me look bad now? Or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. I am.
You're succeeding
Yeah,
again.
oh, yeah, good. I try my best.
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
No, mate, it's enjoyable, isn't it? And some people like to go out of their comfort zone. Some people, don't. But mate, just see what happens. I met Richard. Oh, he's a ledge. He's on Sky Atlantic. He won the
He's not that
Inspiration
much of a
Award.
legend, is he?
He is. I'm terrible with names.
don't-
though.
I
I'm
don't
rubbish.
know
As
many.
you know, John.
I don't
John
know
is it?
many actors. I'm not in acting circles. I'm afraid me and Dolly we're
No,
too,
mate,
too lowly. We're too
No, it
lowly.
was a great night. Great night.
Good.
It's my favourite building in Wales as
So
well.
can
that
you
Millennium.
can we expect any like Hollywood agents knocking on the
Like
door
I
now?
said, if I did, you two would be the first to come across to have a.
I'm
a
not
week in the sun.
I'm not working as your gardener in Beverly Hills. That's the end of that. man.
No, I need someone to do the ironing.
Oh, great. I'm rubbish at ironing, by the way. That's
Right, good stuff. Richard Harrington was the guy you were looking for. was
Richard
it?
Harrington.
the name on everybody's lips.
No,
Richard
he is.
Harrington. I
He's
used to like the
ledge, man.
jackets. I used to love his jackets. They were fantastic.
Harrington, yeah.
I had one of
Yeah,
them.
he's a big time. He's a super.
He's
Is
the
he?
fellow off Hinterland, isn't he?
You got it. There you go. Look, John knows, pretending like he
got it, I
don't.
got
I
it.
don't watch. I don't see a lot of things.
No, he's top man, man.
Oh, good.
It was nice to meet him as well. Nice to meet the few
He
people.
could be perhaps he could be
and
one of the
the-
guests on the show. He needs some guests.
I'm terrible with names. Twin Town, the film, you all seen it?
Yep.
Long time ago. We Sevens.
No, the main man who's got the business. The rich guy in it.
How are we supposed to know that?
You
Oh,
know.
what
you-
how
anyway,
do we know
he
that?
gave me the award.
Never know
I'm
that.
terrible with names. I do apologise. It's no disrespect, man.
Steve Tucker, by the way.
It was a
mind you,
big.
if you will.
It was.
John Dowell.
It was.
Nathan.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me now.
It was. I was
You were so impressed you forgot all their
excited,
names.
like, you know what I mean? I was like a kid in a sweet shop.
Well, I hope
Like,
good
shaking
things
hands
come of
with
it.
These kind of people, film legends, mate. One day, you never know.
You'd be like,
Yeah,
what's
Who
his
loves
name?
it? You do, John, don't
What's his
you?
I
name?
do, that was
That
fantastic.
famous actor?
Oh, let's not get into the name.
Oh,
More
I
people
can't
probably
remember.
Denzel.
Anyway,
No, the famous wheel skipper. You know, what's his name? The hard man. Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones.
I haven't seen him for ages. Well, he's made a load of films, and then he...
we can discuss it afterwards.
Yeah, sorry, you're intruding on it. Whatever happened to Vinnie Jones?
Right, we'll leave it there.
Yes.
Descended into farce as is often the
as
case.
we
Thank you,
should.
thank you, chaps. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all your comments, all your questions. We'll be blogging live from the Wales game tonight. That should be rather exciting. So join us for that. And of course, we'll also be live on the weekend for the big Russell Slade debut, Cardiff v Nottingham Forest. So we'll see you then, and we'll see you next week. Take care.